enjoy the show, play on my channel.
Welcome. Podcast.
Hello.
So exciting. Welcome to Sex Ed and everything in between. So, introduce yourself.
My name is Brianna. I'm a fun lady, I think.
All right, this is not an audition either. So you were all like, "This is Brianna." I expected like the whole monologue of like, "My name is Brianna. I'm 26 years old, and this is my rendition of," and then you go on with your monologue. But no, it's nice to see you again. So I found you on Facebook. Do you want to tell them the story of how I came across you and what I was looking for?
Oh, I had a friend who was she was in I've known her since I was like a teenager. She's friends with a close friend of mine. And she remembered, I guess, that I did acting, and she saw your post in the group, and she was like, "Oh, hey, I remember you did this." So honestly, I owe it all to Kelsey.
Yeah. Thank you, Kelsey, for introducing me to my co-host and my new friend. No, I wasn't going to originally even like click because you didn't message back, you didn't say anything. So I was like, her friend just, kind of suggested her, and I was like, I'll just let it go. There were 37 messages just in that like 3 hours.
37 whole ladies, and not one of them asked about the project.
One of them was a guy, and no, for the part of your main character, one of them was a guy and was like, I can wear a wig. He didn't have a like protruding Adam's apple, so
That's okay. My dad said that he would do it. I told him.
Well, tell him we have
today.
a spot available. Actually, so we have the spot for Meg. He would be great for it. We could have him audition.
He said he'd wear a wig as well.
Would he? Okay. How's the throat's good? No Adam's apple or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
He's good. He's just he's on the heavier side.
Is he? Well, that's okay. We don't judge.
Good.
Yeah, we don't judge. So I will tell you a little bit about me. I am 41 years old. I have picked very awful, god-awful relationships in the past, and that is why I am here where I am right now with this opportunity. So I had all to the shitty-ass relationships. But I have 2 kids, and I have a lot of hobbies. Do you have hobbies?
I think we all have problems.
Hobbies, not problems. They could be either one. You can.
Oh, okay. Hobbies.
Not
tons of hobbies.
We all have problems. Are you kidding me?
Everybody has about 99 of them.
But the bitch ain't one.
Ain't one.
So you have a boyfriend named Tom, who I got to meet, and he is one of the nicest people that I think I've met in a while, and I've met some great people. So I want to ask you how you guys met.
So we were both friends on Facebook initially.
Okay.
I had become friends with, him through a mutual of ours. I'm not going to say her name because I'm not going to out her like that.
Protect the innocent.
Yeah.
Protect the innocent.
Yeah. I wouldn't call her innocent, but
protect the matchmaker.
That's beside the point.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get to that point eventually.
So, I spent a lot of time with her between, my graduation year and when I started like Votech school for hair.
Okay.
And I would go to her dad's place in Philly all the time. It was a beautiful apartment. It was an old city. Love old city. There was one night that we were just hanging out, watching TV. I think we were watching New Girl or something. And she had seen that Tom had posted something about how he was in the area and he wanted to, just find people to hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
So she invited him over because at the time, and some girls are just like this, but she was very much in the camp of like, I am still into him, but he doesn't want a relationship with me, but that's not going to stop me situation.
Okay.
So she had invited him over, and it was hilarious because she was wearing like sweatpants before that. Soon as she knew he was coming over, she went into the room and put on booty shorts immediately.
Rude.
He comes over.
You at least start with the booty shorts, not to make yourself look too obvious.
Yeah, I mean, he comes over and he was not having a good night. He
Right.
was seeing another girl at the time, and it was a whole situation. He was drunk. He had missed the train home, so she was like, "Okay, that's fine. You can sleep on the couch." So he bought us pizza. He slept on the couch, and then we ate cold pizza in the morning. Second I saw him eating cold pizza at 6 a.m., I knew it was love.
That's adorable. Cold pizza, sunlight, love. That's adorable. That's cute. I like that story. That's a good one. Did you just flip your hair for him?
Sweetheart.
Did you just flip your hair for him? You flipped your
Oh
hair.
no, he's,
Yes, no, you
he's not
totally.
even looking.
Oh, okay, but you did with the intention of wanting him to look, because I saw that you did it like twice. So no, I picked it up. I picked up on it.
I just have a lot of hair, and it's really heavy when I put it in a ponytail.
Oh, okay. Yes, totally believe you. That's cute. That's a good love story, though. Now, can I ask you the inevitable question? How long did it take you guys to have your first kiss?
I think it was about that one's rough because so that happened and then like a month or so goes by. I was still seeing somebody else when I had
Oh my
first met him.
God.
I was, yeah. That was a very volatile relationship.
Okay.
He was in prison for a while, and
Prison?
that's a whole other
Prison?
story. That is a whole
All right,
other
we're gonna
story.
get back
We're not
to
gonna
that
get into
story.
that one right now.
No, that's like a couple episodes down.
Yeah, that's you can hear about him later, but
Okay. I'm holding you
so
to that.
once him and I split, I was just kind of like, just hanging out with people all the time because I didn't have anywhere else to be.
Right.
So, our first, I wouldn't even consider this our first date, but it
Mhm.
kind of was. It was Valentine's Day, and I was in beauty school at the time. So I went to school and everything. And then everybody, talking about, oh, we're doing this tonight. We're doing that. Like, we have all of these plans for Valentine's Day. And I'm like, I don't got nothing to do. And she messaged me and she's like, oh, let's have a friend's Valentine's. Like,
Oh,
I'll go,
jeez.
you can go, and Tom can go. And I was like, all right, mostly because I wanted to see him again, right?
Of course.
So, he picked us up. This guy had just gotten his taxes back. So he bawled out on us. Like, this was like the third time I'd met him in person. And he took us to the Christmas tree store, RIP. But he
They
took
don't
us
have
there.
those anymore, do they?
No, they got closed down, and I don't know why because they were great. I loved going in there.
Amazon.
But
It's
he took us
all
in there, and
Amazon.
we went on we went around like the snack aisles and
Mhm.
stuff. It's right next to the one that we went to was right next to a movie theater. So we're like, well, we'll just get a bunch of snacks from here and then go to the movies because they're way cheaper here. So we go to the movies. So first we go to the Christmas tree store. He buys us as much candy as we want. He bought me flowers. We
Oh.
had like tons of chocolates and like sour candies and stuff, and we went to see Rogue One at the theater. She knew at that point like kind of what was going on between us.
Okay.
So she she comes and she sits directly in the middle of us, right in between us. Like I was going
Bitch.
to sit next to him in the theater, and she just right in the middle. And I was like, all right, okay.
That's when you close. That's when you clothesline a bitch and you tell her to go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So we actually ended up hanging out a week later,
Okay.
like the next weekend after that. And I believe that's when we got together. That is the first time we kissed.
How old were you guys?
I was 18 at the time.
Okay.
Or, yeah, 18. He was 23.
Okay. So there's a gap with you guys.
There sure is. It's an interesting gap, too, because I was born...
Wait, 18, 19, 4 years?
It might have been longer. We're 6 years apart.
Oh, 6 years apart. Okay.
So there was a... Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. That happens a lot.
No, it happens. This is going to be our podcast. Both of us losing our train of thoughts. No, you know what though? Is there a definite, like, can you guys notice the age difference? Like with your daily activities, like things that you do?
Not necessarily. There are times. There are definitely times. Like he was born in 92. I was born in 98.
Okay.
He was like into like pogs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't around for that. I didn't have like pogs, but I had a Tamagotchi. Like
I love the
I
Tamagotchis.
growing up, like it was for me, it was mostly early 2000s. That's
Okay.
like when I remember. So you know, I got all of that like when he was like entering, I guess like his like late childhood years
Okay.
into like his like preteen years and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's when we have like the aligned interests. After that, he was too old for
Okay.
his interests to match up with mine.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah, I always think that's interesting. So anytime I dated anybody, it was somebody who was older than me. And it never worked. And I never understood why until I realized that even like a 2 or 3 year gap, it depends on the person, depends what you're into. Yeah, you know what? It brings me back to the mental health and the sex health, which is what this podcast episode is about. Do you notice a difference when it comes to your relationship with the age gap? So not just like your interest of what you're into, but how you spend your time, how you guys connect, just stuff like that.
So yes and no. Like as far as like a sexual life goes,
Mm-hmm.
I was less experienced, I think. He had less partners than I had, but he
Okay.
had been able to explore better. The first time, you know, when I lost my virginity, it was assault. It took
Okay.
me several years to realize that that's what had happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't register it at the time. I didn't register it for so many years later, but it really does affect the way that you view sex and how you know, interact with it as far as like getting like,
Right.
you know, people like experiencing kinks for the first time and
We
stuff like
also
that. It's
remember where
interesting.
you left off. You left off with kinks, but we also want to tell people, whoever is listening, that if you are experiencing domestic violence situations, please call 911. Please call your local domestic violence shelter. In Delaware County, which is where we are based, Media has an entire office dedicated to domestic violence, men or women. So please, if you're experiencing anything that we are talking about, please give them a call. Back to what you were saying.
I lost my train of thought again.
So it was assault.
Right. Yeah. So that I do think that really affects how, you know, you view sex as a whole, because for a while I was convinced that it was one way. Like it was
Mm.
just like less about my own pleasure and more about whatever he needs to do
Okay.
to finish. And like it took me a long time to, you know, understand my own body
Right.
and like things that be comfortable enough with somebody else to be able to explore that kind of thing, like
Right.
you know, get into different kinds of kinks and stuff and just see what it is you actually like, because I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's very important. So I just myself got out of I went 10 years and didn't know for like the first 8 that I was a victim, and it was a horrible feeling. Didn't fully really understand until I got out of it what I went through. And you are right. Going through all of that and then trying to move on and go on with your life it's very difficult to separate the two. You feel like you shouldn't enjoy anything because you were never given that freedom to enjoy it. And then on the other hand, you're like, why the hell aren't I enjoying it? So I completely understand. But let's lighten up the mood a little bit. So, I mean, floor's open if you have any questions or want to add in a thought if you want to.
I have the brain of a goldfish, so like you
Ugh.
can't expect a whole lot from me.
Thank God, because I can't shut up. So this is perfect. Knew we'd be perfect podcast partners. So I'm trying to think of where we can go from here. So let me ask you a question. The unfortunate incident, and that's what we'll call it because we don't like to say the words. They are trigger words, and they can absolutely trigger people. But the unfortunate incident, how long ago, if you don't mind me asking, was that?
I am 26 now. I was 16 when it happened, so about 10 years.
Okay. And any question you don't want to answer, you can just tell me. I'll edit this part out too.
I'm mostly an open book.
Me
I'm
too.
not,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. So How long have you and Tom been together?
I think it's been 8 years now. It's been a while.
Any talk of?
Oh, just anything and everything. There will be times when we get onto a topic and then it
Mhm.
turns into 20 different topics, and then all of a sudden it's 3 in the morning and
Oh,
we have stuff to do tomorrow.
I love conversations like that where you lose track of time. I can have my conversations like that with people in the morning better than at night. I won't even. I go to bed at 9 o'clock, like between 9 and 9:30, and it.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely like an early bedtime person.
Yeah.
I always preferred like 10 to like 12 is my like limit.
Yeah. No, absolutely, I agree. So, where did you grow up? Delaware County?
Yes. I grew up in Ridley mostly in
Okay.
Delaware County.
Do you know where Lakeview Circle is?
Absolutely. That was right where my middle school was.
Lakeview Circle or Lakeview? So yeah, Lakeview Elementary. And
So yeah, Lakeview Elementary.
Circle was right where the Wawa is now, and the Nifty 50s, like back tucked there. I used to live there.
Yeah, we lived in Crumlin for a while. It was Fairview Road, right next to the Jay's Food Market. If anybody wants to Google Maps that, it's a cute little place. Give them business because they deserve it.
Well, we're
they
gonna
used to
have
give
to.
me free bread. Free bread.
That's
I was
awesome.
like 10.
That's adorable. We're gonna have to get in contact with them, see if they want to sponsor us. So
Now, honestly, I don't even know who owns it these days. I remember the guy from when I was a kid, specifically because he had chickens. Like they just had chickens in their yard, and they would like take the eggs and stuff and use
Right.
them because they would they were a deli also, so they would do like breakfast and stuff, and they would just use fresh eggs.
okay, so I am always trying to talk people into getting chickens. It's the best idea. This area doesn't allow you to have chickens.
We had them at that house actually
Uh-huh.
because he gave us 2 of them. And we ended up having to get rid of them because the neighbors started complaining that they were waking them up at 5 in the morning.
They wouldn't be complaining now with the price of eggs, would they?
Oh yeah, absolutely not. That
Yeah, they keep their.
when you
they
can get it
keep
for
their mouth shut.
free, you think I'm paying $12?
I spent $25 on, I think it was 24, and that was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's horrible. But yeah, so let me ask you a question. So getting back to you and Tom, did you have a boyfriend before Tom, or was he like a first?
That was
Oh, was that the
was
situation?
the Gale one.
Oh, that's the situation we don't need to know yet. We can say that for another episode. Absolutely.
Yeah, that one's a fun story.
Okay, is he still there? That's all I need to know.
No, he was there for about a year, and then he did parole, and he is back to like just working regular now.
Okay.
Saw him by accident one time. We were going to get ramen in the city, and I guess he worked at the pizza place next door. We were passing it, and I looked in the window, and I saw him, and I was like, "Ooh,
Don't you hate that? So let's touch base on that one a little bit. Running into an ex when you're with your
I'm
current.
permanently scared of that."
Always scared. And even when you don't have, like, you're not in a current relationship and you run into an ex, and it doesn't matter who you're with, it's like, do I introduce like a normal person? Do I walk away slowly? Like, how do I avoid face to face? Do you hear the car?
See, like I said, I grew up mostly in Ridley,
Yeah.
so most of my boyfriends initially were from like Ridley area.
Okay.
Every time I go back to Ridley these days, I'm so terrified that I'm going to see one of my exes that I do not want to see.
And I'm 41 and I'm still scared of running into exes. That's sad. That's so sad. All I want to do is just be like, no, I don't know you. I want to go that way. But no, I grew up in Philadelphia. So I grew up in Overbrook, like West Philly. Thankfully, I don't run into exes. They're like, I had 2 or 3 there, and they're there. They don't come up here.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing. I don't run into exes as much but it's still scary. Oh my God. So
It's not even like it would be like necessarily bad for most of my exes anyway. Like there's 1 or 2 that like it's on site. If I see them, it is hands on site. But other than that, Like for the most part, it's just awkward.
Right.
Like it's not like I'm like nervous that something's gonna happen. It's just that like it's weird seeing people that you haven't spoken to in such a long time, just like out in public when you're
Yeah.
just like trying to run an errand.
Yeah, it's like the innocent. Like you're the innocent person. You're out there. You're like, I'm just trying to live my life. And then there's one ex, and then like an ex best friend, and then like three other people you used to know in high school, and it's all in one store. That's Stelco problems.
We got to get out of here one of these days.
I tried. I ended up in Chester County.
Oh goodness gracious.
Yeah, that was Paoli and Berwyn, actually. Like, do you know those areas?
Yeah. They're okay.
It's okay. It's just I'm a city girl, so as much as I can do city is suburbs, and the country, like Chester County, is definitely not for me. So I like action. Well, what was I gonna say? You gotta fill in the silence. What flavor?
It's a strawberry shortcake, I think. Hold on.
Oh.
Yeah, strawberry shortcake. I just got it yesterday.
Which one is it? You can hold it up.
The Raz
Oh, okay.
flavor.
Okay. Yeah, when I used to work at the smoke shop, oh my God. They had ones with rhinestones. Did you ever see those? They're like wrapped in rhinestones.
That's so extra.
It is. It is extra, and that's exactly why I got it. I like extra.
Sometimes you just need to treat yourself to something a little bit extra.
Now, I will tell you what would be a fun thing covered in rhinestones. So we're going to keep talking about the vapes, though, but this one had the strap. It was all covered in rhinestones, and then the whole thing was like tiger print rhinestone. So, and then I gave it to somebody to use, and it definitely was not a female. And unfortunately, they had to.
maybe don't want that back.
No, it's the vape. The vape.
Oh, the vape.
Oh, Jesus, dude. Do you
That's
think
not
I
what
would
I
get?
thought you
No,
were
that's
talking
not what I
about.
was. That is so not what I was talking about. Oh my God, I never would share those. Oh my God, and covered in rhinestones though. That's an
That
idea.
would be crazy, right?
That would be fun. Yes, funny. So
I don't know how like that would work logistically. Like I feel like
what if
you'd end up in the ER really quickly.
what if they came off?
Yeah, what if they came off? And also like a lot of rhinestones are like really sharp.
That and the glue is not safe.
Yeah, you probably don't want all that business going on.
No. So, but yeah, no. And now I have a question with the age gap. So I'm going to touch base on this one a lot because I'm so curious. With the age gap, was there any awkwardness in the beginning with that? Any of those situations?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was pretty like accepted like pretty quickly. Like
Okay.
the first time that I think this was the weekend after the movie.
Mm-hmm.
We had gone and hung out at his friend's house, and they have like a garage that they have a sign for that it just says bonus room. So we call it the bonus room. And they just go in the garage and like drink and smoke and stuff.
Okay.
And they're all music guys, so they were all jamming, playing music and stuff. And I remember I absolutely embarrassed myself because we went in and I was like sloshed off of like 3 mics hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, because they were playing music like loud, and I'm trying to like meet his friend and like talk to him for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like screaming at the top of my lungs over this music, like slurring a little bit because I was already just gone from the mics hard.
Right. Well, that's the one thing I always worried about because as I was younger and my exes were older, it was just like trying not to do more than, I don't know. I was just trying to keep myself from like being over here and just staying in my lane, I guess is what you would say. But yeah, I also think that being in a good mental headspace, and then this topic, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, that's definitely true because a lot of the times, like I was saying earlier, when you're like with a partner that you
Mhm.
trust and you're trying to explore new things together, there needs to be communication. Absolutely
Yes.
110% there needs to be communication,
Mm-hmm.
there needs to be clarity, there needs to be a safe word. You guys really need to like talk about this stuff because otherwise it's just a guessing game and nobody wants to play that.
So I was just taught the proper way. So I went my whole life not knowing how to communicate with anybody and being taught how to talk to people, how to listen, how to communicate, how to say what's bothering me to anybody, and being able to have those needs met by friends, family, whatever. It's a big deal. Like communication, that kind of communication leads to the sexual communication of this is good, this is not good, this is my safe word. I do, and I believe no matter what form of relationship, how long you've been in this relationship, everybody needs a safe word.
Absolutely. Like I think it's really important because like especially with people who enjoy free use.
Yes.
If you do not know what free use is when you basically have unfettered access to another person's body at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And they're consenting to it, they're comfortable with it. You know, they could be cooking dinner or something and you could come up behind and do whatever you're going to do.
Right.
And that's fine because that's part of what you've agreed on
Ex-
with your partner.
exactly.
So if you're in a situation where it's a like a more free use situation, it is definitely, sorry, my cat is just like going absolutely nuts back here with the
It's
sheet.
fine.
Uh when you're in that kind of situation, you need to have like you know, if you're maybe not in the mood right then, you
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to let your partner know quickly and concisely that they want you to stop, basically.
Exactly. So telling the person you trust, this is not what I want to do right now, is so important. And it's an act of love. It is not meant to be an annoyance to anybody or anything like that. I went 10 years not being able to communicate that.
I went a very long time not being able to communicate it to anybody. It was not until him that I found like an open communication
Right.
with this kinds of thing. And it's interesting too because like I am incredibly emotionally minded, whereas he is more intellectually minded in the sense that like he's logical. He's very logical.
Yes.
I always have my head in the clouds. I'm daydreaming. I'm getting way too ahead of myself all the time.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely. And he's kind of more grounded.
Mhm.
So it's interesting because like even just outside of the bedroom, we have a very healthy communication with one another.
Okay.
And you know, we don't argue. A lot of couples I know will just argue about nothing. My sister and her boyfriend are like that. They will
Okay.
just continuously, you know, just
It's
go at each other about
to hear
small
their
things.
own sound, like to hear their own voice. Like
Exactly.
one person has to be right, the other person has to be right, and that's it. And you can't both be right.
Yeah, and nobody can just admit that they're wrong and say sorry when they are wrong.
Right.
And like that's something that I think the two of us have very very well together
Mhm.
because again, we don't argue about things. We talk about things. If
Right.
something's bothering one of us, we bring it up to the other person and we have a conversation about it and we discuss how we can move forward from here. We discuss how, you know, how to fix these issues
Mhm.
that one of us is having and what can the other person do
Mhm.
to put in that effort, because I've seen a lot of, you know, posts here and there about like, oh, a relationship isn't 50-50 all the time, and that's
Okay.
incredibly true because I do believe that there are days when I can only give 20% and he's giving me 80, and
But
then there are
that's
days when it's the complete opposite, you know.
exactly, and that's what a true partner is. If you can only give 20%, the other person absolutely pick up the other 80. Do not let that one person carry everything. I went through years. I didn't ask for help. So when I finally left him, it was very hard for me to ask anybody for help because, you know, you just feel like the constant annoyance. But yeah, no, I mean, this is great information to learn and, you know, talk to people about. I think you said your head is in the clouds a lot, right? But I really do think, honestly, you just moved to the beat of your own drum. You're very smart. You're very bright. You have the knowledge that it takes to do something like what we're doing now.
Right.
Lots of
I,
personal
I really
experience.
think that, like, sorry, I'm
No, we'll cut
so
each other
good at
off the whole time.
interrupting people.
So am I. So am I. So you go. Keep going.
I lost my train of thought, so you go.
Oh Jesus. This is going to be great. I love it.
This is going to happen every episode in case anybody was wondering.
We're going to keep a tally behind us when you do live with me or when you do like in person with me.
Oh yeah, to see how many times I've lost my train of thought.
Absolutely. So we're just going to keep doing that. And then what we'll do is once we get a lot more followers and people who are subscribing, we'll do a little contest, okay? Because we're going to get some goodie bags with potential almost advertiser that we're going to be doing advertisements for and reviews. So maybe with that stuff, we can do little giveaways if we ever go live or anything like that. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how this conversation evolves also. Because I do think that we need to take what is bothering people and what like suggestions. I haven't gotten any suggestions yet, but except for like one or two. I always want to start off with mental, like I'm not a doctor, so I just want to start off with the mental health.
Not a
part.
doctor either.
Yeah,
we are not trained
doctors,
professionals in any way.
Well, we're trained professionals, meaning that we're adults and we've gone through our entire lives so far. That's as trained as you're going to get. But
yeah, don't come to me for medical advice because I will send you to WebMD.
I'll send you to urgent care. I don't care. Send you somewhere. But
looks like you're paying that $40 copay today, bud.
Yeah, look, so none of us can help you. You gotta go pay the $40 copay. But I do want to reiterate, if anybody is going through anything with domestic violence, please give 911 a call. Tell somebody, go somewhere. You're not an annoyance to anybody, and the more people that know, the better. I really enjoyed talking to you. I think this was a lot of fun. And for our first episode, I don't want to talk about too much. We have stuff to talk about next week. So
yeah,
I definitely think it was great to talk to you, get to know us. We are your hosts, and we're not co-hosts. There's no co-host here. We are both the host. And then, yeah, if you guys have any questions, please email us. Let me know. Facebook, you can always find the podcast page on Facebook. And honestly, let's figure out what to leave everybody off with. Go find your significant other and have a great night.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely what we should do.
Get close to that communicating.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them if they want to sit down and have a conversation. Maybe have some sexy times and then have a conversation. There's always that post-nut clarity for you at the end there, you know?
Post-nut clarity. I love it. Absolutely. So communicate. Talk to your partner, communicate what you want. Do not put yourself in a situation where you are going to get uncomfortable, where they will get uncomfortable, or where there will be awkward silence. So, it's a great first episode. It was nice to talk to you, and we will see you back here next weekend. Bye.
Play on my